everyone, and welcome back to my channel Gabbabetic, and welcome to today's video. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that I'm a type 1 diabetic and I am on MDI, which is multiple daily injections. Not for long because I'm getting an insulin pump soon enough, but that'll be a future video way further down the line. So because of that, I want to do a few videos that focus on my multiple daily injections and just some things I've learned throughout the years. So the topic for today's video is pre-bolusing on MDI. I think you can pre-bolus for a pump. I'll have to figure that out further down the line. But for this video, I'm just talking about pre-bolusing on injections, which is what I do. I hope you find the video informative. If you do like the video, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed so far. I'm getting close to 2,000, so I really want to reach that milestone. Let's start to talk about pre-bolusing, but first I'm going to show you what insulin I use, just in case you haven't seen my channel before. Starting with my fast-acting insulin. So this is my NovoPen Echo Plus, which I love because at the bottom has the little dial that shows you when you last took insulin. There's a whole load of videos about that on my channel if you want to go and watch videos about these pens. But let's talk about the insulin that's inside the pen. So I actually use Fiasp, or Fiasp as some people call it. I call it Fiasp. So Fiasp is probably the newest rapid-acting insulin that there is out there at the moment, and it's a type of insulin aspartame. We'll go into that in a while. And my long-acting insulin is Tresiba. This is what I take every night going to bed, and this is an insulin Degludec. So you can see that's how it looks. All of these types, insulin aspartame, insulin glargine, insulin Degludec, they're all just different formulations of insulin so that it controls how fast or how slow they're released. Like I said, this is a long-acting insulin, so you would never be pre-bolusing with a long-acting insulin. So I'm showing you that now, but forget you ever even seen it. What we're going to be talking about in the video is the insulin that we take for our food or our fast-acting insulin. This is my fast-acting insulin Fiasp, and it is Fiasp that I usually pre-bolus with. So what is pre-bolusing? Pre-bolusing is just when you take insulin at a set time frame, usually 10-15 minutes before you're going to eat your food, in order to give your insulin the best chance to actually start working and be able to work on the food that you're going to eat, so that you don't get a blood sugar spike. So I hope that makes sense. So I kind of only discovered this about 2 years ago. When I was first diagnosed, 17 years ago by the way, I was told that you don't take your insulin until you have your food right in front of you. And that's all fine. Sometimes, that might be actually better. Maybe you don't know the carbs, maybe you're in a restaurant. Like if I'm gone out for food, I wouldn't really pre-bolus because I need to see the food to be able to guesstimate how much carbs. But if I have a meal that I'm making and I know the carbs, I will always try to pre-bolus because then I can prevent the blood sugar spike. If you don't pre-bolus and you take your meal right there and then, say you have 50 grams of carbs, take 5 units of insulin if you're on a 1-to-1 ratio like me, then you can find that your blood sugar can just go up really quickly and start to spike and peak before your insulin has a chance to work. And that's why pre-bolusing really helps. So I'm going to talk about the two fast-acting insulins that I know. There are other ones out there, but I've never used them, so I'm not going to talk about them. So Fiasp and NovoRapid are both insulin aspartame. The only difference actually between Fiasp and NovoRapid is that Fiasp has the addition of vitamin B3, which supposedly speeds up the absorption of insulin. That's literally the only difference between Fiasp and NovoRapid, to be honest. But both of them are insulin aspartames, so they have this kind of peak working time between 1 and 3 hours. So during 1 hour and 3 hours was when, after you've taken your insulin, it will really be working in your bloodstream. It will really be lowering down the blood sugar. After that, it kind of, fades away, and then you probably need another injection if you're eating again. But once you take your insulin, it takes probably about 20 minutes for the NovoRapid and a bit quicker for the Fiasp to actually start working in your body. They're at their peak maximum effect between 1 and 3 hours, but they kind of start to get going after about 20 minutes or so, or a bit earlier for Fiasp because it is a bit faster, maybe about 15 minutes for that. Where pre-bolus really starts to work is, imagine you're having your lunch, it's 1 o'clock, you've carb counted, you take 5 units of insulin. Your lunch is something kind of high carby, something that's going to break down rapid enough. So imagine you're eating that, you take your insulin, but your insulin's not going to start to work till maybe about 1:15. But between 1 and 1:15, your body is already breaking down those carbs and your blood sugar is starting to go way up like this. And then you're waiting for your insulin to kick in and you're already in high blood sugar. That's kind of what you want to stop with pre-bolusing. So imagine then, your carbs, 12:45, you take your 5 units, and then you eat your lunch at 1 o'clock. Hopefully you've kind of got time enough for the insulin to start working. So maybe the insulin's already starting to work at 1 o'clock when you start to eat at 1 o'clock. So then instead of getting this massive peak that comes back down, you just kind of get nice stable line. Now, it takes a lot of trial and error, I will tell you this. So the best one that I actually find for me for pre-bolusing is with cereal. Here's my blood sugar today where I did not pre-bolus because sometimes I just want to eat. That's the truth. So I didn't pre-bolus. I carb counted my cereal, which was 30 grams of carbs. So for me, that's 3 units of insulin with the milk. I didn't pre-bolus because I was really hungry and I just want to eat. So I took my 3 units and my food together at the same time. And you can see now my blood sugar has gone up to 11. So you can see that I've gone into basically nearly high blood sugar before my insulin has had a chance to work because I didn't pre-bolus. So that's kind of annoying because now I know that there's insulin in there. So I don't want to take more insulin because if I do that, I'll go low. So having not pre-bolus has made me kind of go up in a spike, and now I'm starting to come back down instead of keeping me just flat if I did pre-bolus. Usually on days, it's a weekend now, so that's why, but when I'm working, I'll have my food in work. So I bring my cereal with me so I know the carbs. So I know that I'm taking 3 units and I'll take them 15 minutes before I eat, and then I'll just stay in range. And that's so much better than going up to a blood sugar of like 11.2, because I start to feel those high blood sugar symptoms now and I hate it. And I know that if I took a bit of extra insulin now, I already have insulin on board, so I'll definitely go low. So I just have to like wait for the spike to come back down, and that's all because of not pre-bolusing. It's a relatively simple term, pre-bolusing. It's just taking your fast-acting insulin about 15-20 minutes before you eat, and then you're giving the insulin in your body a chance to start working before you start actually eating the food and getting your blood sugar rising. So ideally you would have this nice graph where you never spike and you just stay in range, but we all know that that doesn't happen. So it does take kind of a lot of trial and error to figure it out. You know, someone might take 5 minutes for their insulin to start working. For me, it definitely takes a bit longer. It takes like the 15-20 minutes. So I do find the pre-bolusing working. Some people might be really fast like that. So you may only need to take your insulin like 5 minutes before you eat. Some people might be longer. Maybe you need to take your insulin half an hour before you eat, before it gets start working. You have to play around with it, but definitely do be very careful if you start trying to pre-bolus, because you don't want to leave eating the food part too late and you start to go hypo. So it's a kind of thing that you have to be careful about. Please don't go hypo. Please, you know, try it, maybe do 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, see where you get to. See at what point do you think your insulin is starting to work and it's kind of keeping you in range instead of a spike. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense.